A Banker's Guide to Innovative Blockchain Technology. If there is one thing we can anticipate from 2022, it is that banks will continue to size up the blockchain space, an area they were previously attempting to avoid. Another apparent certainty is that the blockchain ecosystem will continue to grow, with additional tokens, initiatives, and businesses taking off. Put 2 and 2 together, and you get dozens of blockchain innovation officers and chief information officers about to discover a circus the scene is in general. Here's how to ensure they're not wasting their time. While the blockchain ecosystem was once viewed as the digital equivalent of the Wild West, a vast frontier where virtually anything is permissible, the reality is quite different. Circumstances are changing, and the industry has become more benign and receptive to regulation. It is, however, massive, with over 7,000 cryptocurrencies available. That is not to say that each venture launches its own coin. Additionally, not all cash is created equal. While some of them are armed with a vision and utility, if not an objective, others have little to offer aside from a tokenomics model presumably imagined for them on the moon. The business embraces open-source design, which enables it to advance through contributions from hundreds of talents, but there is a flip side as well. It's simple for developers to fork, or replicate, a popular venture, slap an underhanded new feature on top of it, along with new branding, and launch it live to earn a quick profit. This adds a completely new dimension to the considerations of decision makers in the crypto space. A number of its segments are driven primarily by virality. For instance, in early 2021, Dogecoin, a meme coin featuring a web-famous canine as its image, skyrocketed in popularity, eventually becoming one of the primary standard cryptocurrencies. Different development teams saw an opportunity and launched additional Shiba Inu-themed coins, and now there are probably more dogs on CoinMarketCap than in your neighborhood shelter, and some of these dogs bite hard. Squid Coin, another scam that cost its backers $3.38 million by exploiting a well-liked South Korean present on Netflix, is another illustration of how virality can overwhelm traders. Additionally, these examples highlight one of many numerous questions that banks face when attempting to enter the crypto space. What assets do they need to open for their customers? Regardless of its eventual demise, Dogecoin did make a few of its investors wealthy. Or perhaps it is best to stick to the largest and most established currencies? That is just the tip of the iceberg. Constructing the inspiration. The first and most important question that a financial institution's decision makers should address when developing their blockchain strategy is deceptively straightforward. How far do they need to go? Shouldn't they simply provide clients with access to the top 5 hottest currencies to purchase and sell? Or is it a full-throttle assault, complete with native staking, DeFi, and everything else that blockchain has to offer? This choice is critical to everything that follows, and a well-defined objective can be extremely beneficial. Another query, which is related to the preceding in some ways, is how much threat the financial institution has an appetite for. This is also a critical piece of the puzzle, as the crypto area is teeming with assets and businesses offering a diverse range of risk-to-reward profiles. Banks have a greater stake in any unlucky incident than a younger crypto-native firm, and thus should act with a full understanding of the potential for harm if something goes wrong. The ultimate early query is the financial institution's custodial model. Custody, or the ability to store and transfer crypto assets on behalf of customers, is the impetus for banks to offer any type of crypto service. Finally, the choice is between sub-custody, which involves outsourcing custody to a third-party specialist contractor, and self-custody, which involves the financial institution taking on the responsibility directly. Each option is viable, and the optimal choice is highly dependent on the financial institution's objective and risk profile. While a detailed discussion of each choice would require a separate article, the general rule is that sub-custody is quicker to implement, but comes with a number of limitations, as any services the financial institution wishes to provide will be contingent upon the accomplice's capabilities. Additionally, it introduces third-party risks. Self-custody requires a greater understanding of the operational theater and may take additional time to implement, but it provides banks with significantly more flexibility and control over their own business portfolios. The Moon's Staircase. Once the fundamentals are established, banks should delve into the specifics of any specific service they are required to provide. However, the crypto community has long established a set of parameters to examine and red flags to avoid. When it comes to itemizing cash for shoppers to purchase and sell, banks should first assess their risk profile. Bitcoin may pose a very different threat than whatever coin, which launched yesterday, but the latter could theoretically replicate Dogecoin's meteoric rise by offering shoppers the prospect of appreciable features, unless it turns out to be a rip-off, which is a possibility. To avoid these when selecting new cash to add, banks should follow the following guidelines. The greater the market capitalization, the higher the price. A large market capitalization indicates a large and active investor and user base behind the product. This indicates not only that many believe it is secure and legitimate, but also that it has been thoroughly tested by those who use it prior to its integration with the financial institution. Safety by seniority. Generally, older projects, particularly those with a large market capitalization, are safer and more battle-tested. Their value makes them a lucrative target for hackers, and the more time malicious actors spend attempting, and, ideally, failing, to compromise them, the more robust the initial design was. This statement holds true for both Layer 1 and Layer 2 protocols. Examine specifics. Different types of money are equipped with varying degrees of utility and flexibility. Several of them support DeFi, while others feature robust native staking. Still others are much more versatile. Banks must ensure that they seek out cash with the capabilities that complement their overall strategy. Banks should also conduct due diligence on the developer groups behind the projects they wish to finance. For example, trustworthy developers prefer to work in the open, whereas scammers prefer anonymity and shadows. A white paper is frequently indicative of the venture's seriousness. One should make certain to demonstrate the feasibility of the underlying expertise, not just through declarative statements, but also through precise analysis and examination. Another thing to consider is how comparable it is to hundreds of other initiatives. If it is truly unique, it may be a better choice than its competitors. Finally, a white paper demonstrates the contributor's diligence. Grammar errors are a red flag, severely so. They demonstrate the degree of polish that the developers are willing to put into a cornerstone strategic document, and if that is lacking, it is fairly telling. If a white paper enables banks to assess the concepts and theoretical underpinnings of a particular venture, the next step, at the very least with open source initiatives, is to assess its practical implementation. A code audit is another critical piece of the puzzle, and this is where the crypto world's open source spirit comes in handy. The majority of initiatives prefer to maintain their supply code on GitHub, which is accessible to researchers. Banks would be wise to have the venture audited by a seasoned third-party team to ascertain whether or not to proceed with the combination. After the audit is complete, another critical pre-launch step is testing. Banks should become accustomed to utilizing testnets, which are replicas of popular blockchains created specifically for testing purposes. All stable DeFi protocols go through a testnet phase of development, and their testnet variants typically receive all new updates first. As such, testnets make for an incredible surroundings for banks to get away of what they stand to achieve from an integration earlier than transferring on with it. While the blockchain ecosystem provides banks with a plethora of new opportunities and revenue streams, it does require some scouting prior to a profitable takeoff. Banks, on the other hand, can discover it on their own terms and at their own pace by prioritizing their priorities and capitalizing on available opportunities.